The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning, transmitted simultaneously to every quantum-enabled device on Earth. The Galactic Concordat, humanity's first contact with alien civilization, merely 30 years ago, had issued their final warning. Species designation: human. Your continued development of artificial intelligence networks and quantum manipulation technologies poses an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. You have 48 standard rotations to surrender all research data and dismantle associated facilities. Non-compliance will result in immediate military intervention. In the UN Security Council's emergency chamber, Secretary General Helena Chen watched the holographic message replay for the third time. The alien diplomats' multiple eyes blinked in perfect synchronization, their ceremonial robes shifting with each carefully measured gesture. Rather than fear, a subtle smile crossed her weathered face. "They still don't know," she murmured, exchanging knowing looks with the other council members. "After all this time, they still haven't figured it out." Around the world, similar scenes played out in government offices and military installations. Where the Concordat expected panic, they'd found calm. Where they anticipated desperate pleas for mercy, they encountered only silence. Humanity's response to their ultimate threat was perhaps the greatest deception in galactic history. They simply carried on as if nothing had happened. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Director James Chen, Helena's brother, stood before a wall of quantum displays. Each screen showed a different facet of Project Lighthouse, humanity's true technological achievement. The Concordat believed they were monitoring a primitive species dabbling in dangerous technologies. They had no idea that every transmission they'd ever sent had been intercepted, decoded, and analyzed by humanity's quantum AI network. "Initiate Protocol Omega," James spoke into the facility's neural interface. "Authorization Chen 7 Delta 9. Across the solar system, hidden installations stirred to life. In the asteroid belt, mineral processing facilities transformed into weapon platforms. Beneath the surface of Mars, dormant factories activated production lines. On Europa, quantum sensors extended their reach across space, tracking every Concordat vessel within 50 light-years. "They think we're children playing with fire," Admiral Sarah O'Malley remarked from her command post on Luna Base. "They never questioned why we seemed so unconcerned about their technological superiority, never wondered why we shared our advances so freely." The truth was elegant in its simplicity. Every piece of technology humanity had revealed to the Concordat was carefully chosen, deliberately flawed, and designed to be monitored. While the aliens celebrated their apparent surveillance of Earth's development, humanity's true progress remained hidden, protected by quantum encryption that the Concordat's rigid traditional thinking couldn't begin to comprehend. In orbit around Saturn, Dr. Yuki Tanaka monitored the quantum entanglement readings from her research station. The Concordat's fleet was mobilizing exactly as predicted, their movements following patterns established over millennia of unopposed military dominance. They had no concept of warfare against an enemy that thought differently, that had evolved through centuries of internal conflict and constant adaptation. Quantum signature analysis confirms they're deploying their primary battle groups, Yuki reported through the secure network. Their encryption remains unchanged. They're still using the same protocols we decoded 20 years ago. The humans had learned early in their contact with the Concordat that the alien civilization's greatest weakness was their own success. 3,000 years of peace had bred complacency. Their technology had stagnated, advancing along predictable paths. They had forgotten the crucial lesson that humanity had learned through countless struggles. The key to survival wasn't power, but adaptability. In Washington, D.C., President Marcos Rivera addressed the nation, his words carefully chosen to maintain the deception. "My fellow citizens, we have received communications from the Galactic Concordat expressing concern over our technological development. I want to assure you that diplomatic channels remain open. Continue your daily activities. Your government has prepared for this moment." What he didn't say was that humanity had been preparing for this confrontation since the day they first detected the Concordat's probe entering the solar system. Every technological advance they had shared, every diplomatic concession they had made, every trade agreement they had signed, all were parts of an elaborate strategy designed to position Earth perfectly for this moment. As the 48-hour deadline approached, humanity's hidden quantum network hummed with activity. The Concordat's fleet movements were tracked, their communications intercepted, their tactical databases analyzed. Earth's true defenses, concealed beneath layers of misdirection and carefully crafted illusions, stood ready. Final preparations are complete, Helene announced to the Security Council. All systems are operating within expected parameters. Our response packages are in position. The council members nodded in understanding. They had all been chosen for their roles because they understood humanity's greatest strength, the ability to turn apparent weakness into advantage. The Concordat saw Earth's relative youth as a disadvantage, never considering that it might be what made humanity so dangerous. As the deadline drew near, humanity waited with quiet confidence. They had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, building their true capabilities behind a facade of primitive struggle. The Concordat was about to learn a lesson that countless human adversaries had learned before them. Underestimating humanity was a deadly mistake. The clock ticked down, and Earth's silence continued. Not in fear, not in submission, but in preparation. The trap was set, and the Concordat was about to discover that they had never been the hunters. They had always been the prey. The Concordat's invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, a vast armada of crystalline ships that glittered like stars against the void. Over 10,000 vessels, each the product of 3 millennia of uncontested technological development. Their arrival was meant to inspire awe and terror. Instead, they encountered an eerie calm. Admiral Zextal, Supreme Commander of the Concordat forces, studied the tactical displays with growing unease. Earth's orbital defense platforms were minimal, almost primitive by Concordat standards. Their military satellites maintained standard patrol patterns. No emergency broadcasts cluttered the communications channels. It was as if humanity hadn't even noticed the arrival of the largest fleet assembled in galactic history. Status report, Zextal demanded, his secondary hearts beating out of sync with anxiety. High Commander, human military forces remain at standard readiness levels, his tactical officer reported. Their planetary defense grid is operating at minimal power. We detect no significant movement of their space-based assets. In the depths of Luna Base, Admiral O'Malley watched the Concordat's fleet through quantum-enhanced sensors that the aliens didn't know existed. Every ship's position, crew complement, and weapon status was laid bare before her. The aliens' supposedly unbreakable encryption might as well have been written in neon lights. They're proceeding exactly as the simulations predicted, she noted to her staff. Probability algorithms confirm 98% adherence to standard Concordat invasion protocols. Initiate Phase 2. Across the solar system, humanity's true defensive network remained dormant but alert. Quantum processors analyzed every movement of the alien fleet, predicting their actions down to the millisecond. The trap was baited with exactly what the Concordat expected to find: a seemingly unprepared Earth, ripe for conquest. On the Concordat flagship, Zextal issued the formal demands for surrender. The message was broadcast on all known human frequencies, encoded with the full authority of the Galactic Concordat. The response came swiftly, but not in the form they expected. Earth's civilian communication channels erupted with entertainment programming. Reality shows, sports broadcasts, and cooking competitions continued uninterrupted. If anything, human civilians seemed more concerned about their favorite programs than the massive alien fleet approaching their planet. High Commander, the communications officer reported, mandibles twitching in confusion. We're receiving a response from their global governance body. Text only. It reads, "Message received. Currently in committee. Will respond when quorum is achieved." Zextal's primary heart nearly stopped. In 3,000 years of enforcing the Concordat's will across the galaxy, no species had ever responded to their ultimate warning with such casual dismissal. It had to be a sign of primitive ignorance, he told himself. These humans simply couldn't comprehend the gravity of their situation. Begin the approach, he ordered. Standard conquest formation. Let them witness the full might of the Concordat. The massive fleet began its advance toward Earth, spreading out in the precise geometric patterns that had broken the will of countless civilizations before. Their formation was perfect, their coordination flawless, their technology seemingly unstoppable. Deep within Titan's crystalline caves, Dr. Marcus Wong monitored the quantum entanglement feeds. Every movement of the Concordat fleet was being recorded, analyzed, and added to humanity's tactical database. Their attack patterns, unchanged for millennia, were as predictable as the orbits of planets. They're still using their standard encryption protocols, he reported through the quantum network. No sign they've detected our observation systems. Permission to proceed with Phase 2 Alpha. The authorization came instantly through the quantum link. Across the solar system, hidden installations began their work. Microscopic quantum probes, undetectable to Concordat sensors, attached themselves to the crystalline hulls of the alien ships. Each probe began its task of mapping, analyzing, and preparing for what was to come. In New York, Tokyo, London, and every other major city on Earth, life continued as normal. People went to work, children attended school, and the global economy hummed along. This itself was part of the deception, a carefully choreographed display of ignorance that fed into the Concordat's preconceptions. The alien fleet crossed the orbit of Neptune, then Uranus, their sensors probing ahead for any sign of serious resistance. They found exactly what they expected. A handful of primitive defense satellites, easily avoided military installations, and communication systems that seemed laughably vulnerable to their advanced technology. Final approach vector locked, Zextal's navigation officer announced. Earth's primary defense grid remains at minimal power. No significant military response detected. Zextal should have felt triumphant. Instead, a creeping sense of wrongness tickled at the edges of his consciousness. In all his years of service, in all the historical records of Concordat military actions, no species had ever been this calm in the face of inevitable defeat. What he couldn't know was that humanity's real defense grid had never been detected by the Concordat. The quantum technology that powered Earth's true military capability operated on principles the aliens had never considered possible. Their sensors swept past humanity's defenses, not because they were well hidden, but because the Concordat didn't know what to look for. As the alien fleet approached the orbit of Saturn, humanity's quantum network continued its silent work. Every ship in the Concordat fleet was mapped, every weapon system analyzed, every command frequency documented. The trap was almost ready to spring. In the Mariana Trench facility, Director Chen watched the final pieces fall into place. Confirm all quantum entanglement systems are synchronized, he ordered. Prepare for Phase 3 activation on my mark. The Concordat fleet pressed onward, their victory seemingly assured. They never suspected that their every movement was being guided, their every decision subtly influenced by humanity's hidden hand. They were about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous predator was the one that appeared to be prey. As the Concordat fleet crossed the asteroid belt, humanity's quantum network achieved full synchronization. Billions of microscopic probes, now attached to every alien vessel, activated simultaneously. The real battle was about to begin, but not in the way the Concordat expected. Director Chen stood in the Mariana Command Center, his quantum neural interface humming with data. Initiate Protocol Sunbreak, he commanded. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden technology stirred to life. On the Concordat flagship, High Commander Zextal was preparing to issue the final ultimatum when his tactical officer noticed something strange. High Commander, Our long-range communications are experiencing unusual fluctuations. The disturbance was subtle at first, barely noticeable delays in system responses, minor glitches in navigational displays. The Concordat's technical experts dismissed these as normal signal interference from the solar wind. They were wrong. Within Earth's quantum network, Dr. Yuki Tanaka's team executed their carefully planned infiltration. "Quantum entanglement complete," she reported. "We have successfully linked with their primary command and control systems, beginning data extraction." The true extent of humanity's technological advancement was finally revealing itself. While the Concordat had spent millennia perfecting their crystal-based computing and traditional faster-than-light communications, humanity had taken a different path. Earth's quantum technology didn't just process information. It manipulated the very fabric of reality. Admiral O'Malley watched from Luna Base as the first phase of humanity's counterattack unfolded. Status report on Protocol Sunbreak. Quantum infiltration at 87% and climbing. Her AI assistant responded. Concordat fleet remains unaware of system compromise. Their tactical networks are now operating through our quantum relays. The aliens' mighty warships, each a pinnacle of traditional space warfare technology, were being subtly rewired from within. The microscopic probes weren't just gathering data, they were transforming the crystalline computing cores into quantum-entangled nodes of Earth's network. In orbit around Mars, the first visible sign of humanity's true capabilities materialized. Quantum fields shifted, and suddenly thousands of advanced human warships phased into normal space. These vessels had always been there, hidden in quantum superposition, waiting for this moment. On the Concordat flagship, alarms finally began to sound. "High Commander." The sensor officer's voice cracked with disbelief. "Multiple vessels appearing throughout the fleet. They're everywhere." Zextal stared at his tactical display in horror as human ships seemed to materialize inside his perfect formation. Not just alongside Concordat vessels, but between them, around them, within the supposedly impenetrable defensive screens. It should have been impossible. "Full combat alert," he ordered, but even as he spoke, more systems began to fail. Display screens flickered with strange symbols. Navigation computers reported impossible coordinates. Weapon targeting systems locked onto phantom targets. In the Titan facility, Dr. Wong monitored the quantum infiltration's progress. "Their entire command network is now operating through our quantum relays," he reported. "They're completely integrated into our system. They just don't know it yet." The Concordat fleet, pride of the galaxy's oldest civilization, had fallen into a trap 3 decades in the making. Every shot they fired, every order transmitted, every course correction calculated, all of it now passed through human quantum processors first. President Rivera stood in the White House Situation Room, watching the battle unfold through quantum-enhanced displays. "Send the message," he ordered. It's time they understood exactly what they're dealing with. Across the Concordat fleet, every display screen, every communication device, every personal computer simultaneously activated. The message was simple, transmitted in perfect Concordat standard. "Your technological development has stagnated. 3,000 years of peace has left you vulnerable. We have surpassed you not through aggression, but through necessity. Your fleet is now part of our network. Stand down." To demonstrate the point, human controllers executed a synchronized shutdown of non-essential systems across the entire Concordat fleet. Lights flickered, artificial gravity wavered, and weapon systems went dark. "Impossible." Zextal roared as his flagship's systems acted without his authority. "How can they? We are the Concordat. We have ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia. Through his quantum neural interface, Director Chen responded directly to Zextal's command center. "You ruled because no one challenged you. You grew comfortable. We couldn't afford that luxury. Earth's history forced us to innovate, to adapt, to survive. Your technology followed a single path for 3,000 years. We explored millions. The human ships, Their quantum-based technology, now fully visible, took up position around the paralyzed Concordat fleet. They weren't traditional vessels of metal and energy shields. They were manifestations of humanity's mastery over quantum mechanics itself. In the Mariana facility, Chen watched the final pieces fall into place. The Concordat fleet, most powerful military force in known space, had been defeated without a single shot fired. Their own technology had been turned against them through principles they hadn't even known existed. Your choice is simple. Chen's message continued to the Concordat command. You can adapt, or you can become obsolete. Humanity is willing to share our advances to help you grow beyond your stagnation. But first, you must acknowledge that the galaxy has changed. The era of the Concordat's unchallenged supremacy is over. Throughout the solar system, humanity's quantum network hummed with power, holding the entire Concordat fleet in its invisible grip. 3,000 years of peace had made them formidable, but 30 years of careful preparation had made humanity unstoppable. The Concordat High Council convened an emergency session in their crystalline citadel on Proxima Prime, their faces illuminated by the worried glow of quantum transmissions from their defeated fleet. For the first time in 3 millennia, the galaxy's oldest civilization faced a force they couldn't comprehend. How? First Speaker Venra demanded, all 4 arms trembling as she reviewed the battle data. How did we miss this level of advancement? The answer came not from her fellow council members, but from a holographic projection of Helena Chen, who appeared in the center of their chamber. The quantum transmission bypassed all their security measures as if they didn't exist. You missed it because you stopped looking. Helena explained, her image crystal clear despite being light years away. You saw what you expected to see. A young species stumbling toward the stars. Your assumptions became your blindness. Across the solar system, the Concordat fleet remained in quantum lock, their mighty warships now serving as object lessons in human ingenuity. Admiral O'Malley's forces had begun the process of selective systems restoration, allowing basic life support and communications while maintaining control of weapons and propulsion. On the flagship, High Commander Zextal watched helplessly as human technical teams materialized directly onto his bridge through quantum tunneling. They weren't wearing traditional spacesuits, but rather fields of pure energy that shifted and flowed like liquid light. Your crystal computing technology is impressive, one of the human technicians commented, scanning the ship's core with devices that seemed to bend reality around them. But you never considered the possibilities of quantum superposition in information processing. Every crystal in your ships can exist in multiple states simultaneously. We simply took advantage of that fact. The true extent of humanity's technological leap was becoming clear. While the Concordat had perfected their singular approach to space travel and warfare, humans had explored countless alternatives. Their quantum technology didn't just surpass the Concordats, it operated on fundamentally different principles. In the Titan facility, Dr. Wang's team was already beginning the process of modernizing the captured Concordat systems. Their base technology is actually quite elegant, he reported through the quantum network. They just never thought to use it this way. With some adjustments, we can improve their efficiency by several orders of magnitude. The Concordat's military doctrine, unchanged for thousands of years, had been rendered obsolete in a single day. Their rigid hierarchy, their standardized tactics, their belief in overwhelming force, all had been turned against them by human innovation. We understand this is difficult to accept. President Rivera addressed the Concordat High Council through Quantum Link. But consider this not as a defeat, but as an opportunity. Humanity doesn't seek to destroy or subjugate. We offer partnership, a chance to grow beyond the limitations you've placed on yourselves. In orbit around Earth, the first signs of this new partnership were already taking shape. Human quantum engineers worked alongside bewildered Concordat technicians, showing them possibilities in their own technology they had never imagined. Ships that had arrived as conquerors were being transformed into learning centers. Watch closely. A human engineer instructed a group of Concordat scientists. demonstrating how their crystalline computing cores could be tuned to quantum frequencies. Your entire network can be upgraded to quantum protocols without replacing a single component. You were sitting on this potential all along. The revelation sparked something that had been missing from Concordat civilization for millennia: curiosity. Their younger scientists, particularly, began to ask questions that would have been considered heretical just days before. Why had they stopped exploring new possibilities? When had preservation of the status quo become more important than progress? Director Chen monitored these developments with satisfaction. Phase 4 is proceeding ahead of schedule, he reported to the Global Command Network. Concordat resistance is dropping exponentially as they begin to understand the implications of quantum technology. In the Mariana facility, the quantum AI network continued its work, processing data from millions of sources simultaneously. It wasn't just analyzing the Concordat's technology, it was mapping out pathways for peaceful integration of their civilizations. Their social structure is adapting faster than predicted, Dr. Tanaka noted, studying the quantum readings. The younger generations especially are showing remarkable enthusiasm for change. The stagnation wasn't natural. It was imposed by tradition and fear. On Proxima Prime, the High Council was reaching the same conclusion. Centuries of enforced stability had come at a terrible cost: the loss of their species' drive to evolve and improve. Humanity's interference wasn't just a military defeat, it was a wake-up call. We've been living in a self-imposed cage. First Speaker Venera addressed her council. These humans, they've shown us that our strength was becoming our weakness. Our stability was becoming stagnation. The quantum network recorded a surge of activity throughout Concordat space as the news spread. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings began to question centuries of assumptions. The impossible had happened. Humanity had defeated the Concordat not through superior firepower, but through superior imagination. The galaxy is changing, Helena Chen told the High Council. You can change with it, or you can be left behind. But know this: humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our willingness to embrace the unknown, to challenge our own limitations, to imagine what could be rather than cling to what was. As the Earth Day drew to a close, the solar system hummed with activity. Human quantum ships maintained their vigilant watch over the Concordat fleet, but the atmosphere had shifted from confrontation to collaboration. The greatest military force in galactic history had been transformed into the greatest learning opportunity in galactic history. The turning point wasn't just in military power, it was in understanding. The Concordat was beginning to see that true strength lay not in enforcing stability, but in embracing change. And humanity was proving to be not just a conqueror, but a teacher. One standard galactic month after the failed invasion, the Great Hall of the Concordat High Council looked markedly different. Quantum communication arrays now enhanced the ancient crystalline architecture, and for the first time in 3 millennia, representatives from all spacefaring species gathered not just to receive orders, but to participate in shaping the galaxy's future. Helena Chen stood at the speaker's podium, her quantum-enhanced presence reaching every corner of known space. Today marks not the end of the Concordat, but its evolution. The age of enforced stability is over. The age of collaborative growth begins. The changes sweeping through galactic civilization were profound. Humanity's quantum technology had already begun transforming everything from communication to transportation. But more importantly, humanity's approach to progress was proving infectious. In the shipyards orbiting Mars, Concordat engineers worked alongside human quantum specialists, their massive crystalline vessels being retrofitted with technology that merged both civilizations' strengths. The rigid geometric patterns of Concordat design now flowed with the organic adaptability of human quantum engineering. The crystalline matrices in their ships, Dr. Wang explained to a gathering of multi-species scientists, are perfect quantum resonators. They just needed to be awakened to their full potential. Like the Concordat itself, the foundation for advancement was always there, waiting for the right catalyst. Across the galaxy, Younger civilizations that had long chafed under Concordat restrictions were now flourishing. Human quantum networks linked thousands of worlds, allowing for instantaneous communication and exchange of ideas. The galactic community was transforming from a hierarchy into a true network of equals. We're recording unprecedented levels of technological and social advancement across all member species, Dr. Tanaka reported from her new position as head of the Joint Species Development Council. The removal of artificial restrictions has released centuries of pent-up creative energy. The Concordat military, once the galaxy's supreme force of order, was being reorganized into an exploration and research fleet. High Commander Zextal, now Admiral of Scientific Operations, found himself leading missions of discovery rather than conquest. "I never imagined," he admitted to Admiral O'Malley during a joint fleet exercise, "that surrender could feel so much like victory. We've learned more in the past month than in the previous century." In the quantum streams that now connected all major worlds, ideas flowed freely. Species that had once competed now collaborated, each bringing their unique perspectives to solving the galaxy's challenges. The rigid categories of advanced and primitive civilizations began to blur as each culture contributed its own innovations. President Rivera addressed the United Nations, now expanded to include representatives from every known spacefaring species. "We didn't defeat the Concordat to replace them as galactic rulers. We defeated them to prove that cooperation is stronger than control, that diversity of thought is more powerful than uniformity of action." Deep in the Mariana facility, Director Chen watched the quantum network's predictions for galactic development. The model showed exponential growth in scientific advancement, cultural exchange, and peaceful cooperation. What had begun as a potential war had transformed into a renaissance. "The real victory," he noted to his sister Helena, "wasn't in our technology. It was in showing them a different way to think about progress. We taught them to question, to explore, to imagine." First Speaker Venera, in what would become a historic address, formally announced the transformation of the Concordat into the Galactic Cooperative. "For 3,000 years, we thought we were preserving civilization. Instead, we were preserving our own limitations. Humanity showed us that true civilization isn't about maintaining order, it's about embracing growth." The quantum networks hummed with activity as knowledge and culture flowed freely between worlds. Species that had once been relegated to client-state status began contributing revolutionary innovations. The galaxy was awakening from its long slumber. On Earth, in universities and research centers, alien students began arriving to study not just human technology, but human thinking. They came to learn how a young species had achieved in decades what their civilizations hadn't imagined in millennia. "Your greatest technology," a young Concordat scholar told their human professor, "isn't your quantum network or your phase ships. It's your ability to imagine what could be instead of accepting what is." As the first year of the new era drew to a close, humanity's role in the galaxy had been cemented not as conquerors or rebels, but as teachers and catalysts. The quantum network that had begun as a defense system had become the nervous system of a new galactic civilization. "We stand at the beginning." Helena Chen addressed the final session of the Transitional Council. "For 3,000 years, the galaxy lived in enforced peace. Now we move forward into chosen cooperation. The future isn't something to be controlled, it's something to be explored." The stars themselves seemed brighter, viewed through the lens of quantum sensors that linked every world. Humanity had done more than defend itself. It had awakened a sleeping galaxy to new possibilities. The age of stagnation was over. The age of imagination had begun. In orbit around Earth, ships of all species gathered for the first Galactic Innovation Summit. Their designs were as varied as their crews, each incorporating new ideas and technologies born from the free exchange of knowledge. They stood as symbols of a fundamental truth that humanity had taught the galaxy. True strength lies not in maintaining what is, but in imagining what could be. The silent strike that had begun as humanity's defense had become the galaxy's awakening. The future was no longer a path to be followed, but a frontier to be explored together.